Welcome to part 2 of Credit Never Happened, the simulation. And in this video, we'll go ahead and take the qualitative relationship model for Credit Never Happened, which was described in a previous video. And we've transformed that into a stock and flow simulation model. It's a little bit busier than the previous model because we had to implement some things to take care of how the relationships are actually brought to life in the simulation. So time spent working and time spent on improvement are both stocks, and they're increased or decreased depending upon whether the organization decides to work harder or smarter. So if we take this, and there are, when you can access and interact with this model, and we put comments on all of the individual elements so that if you want to investigate as to why the elements are actually there, we provided some crib notes. But if we start out with a steady state situation where the actual performance and the desired performance are equal, so there is no performance gap, it shows a steady state. It's like watching paint dry. It's just nothing's happening because it's a balanced environment at the moment. Though if we decide, or if we run into a situation where the desired performance increases by 5, then there's a question on the part of the organization: do they decide to work harder or work smarter? And there are, as I said before, there are trade-offs with each one. So if they decide to work harder so that 90% of the effort is expended on working to meet or close the performance gap, what happens in this model is the performance, desired performance jumps instantaneously, and the actual performance increases over time as the organization works more hours. But as they work more hours, the cost of operation increases, though you'll also notice that with extended overtime, the actual performance begins to decline because of they're not spending enough time developing the capability, and it ends up eroding so that over time their capability declines and they have to continue to work more hours, and the cost of operation goes up because they're doing that. Now, if the organization had decided to invest the majority of their time in improving their capability as opposed to working harder, again, the desired performance increases immediately. The actual performance takes longer to increase, and it actually overshoots the desired level, but they're investing a lot of time on improvement, and that improvement pays off in the longer term in that the hours worked to achieve the desired level of performance are actually fewer than the hours that they had to work previously, and their cost of operation, while it initially skyrockets, it jumps from here to here. At that point, the cost of operation actually begins to decline, and over time they find out that their cost of operation is actually less than it was initially for actually greater performance. Now, they could also sort of split the difference and decide that they were going to spend half of their time working harder and half of their time developing their capability, in which case the short-term variances are less in that they're expending more hours to make up the performance difference at the same time that they're investing in capability, so that the overshoot is less. It takes a little bit longer to actually stabilize. And the model is set up with a number of parameters that one can adjust to sort of normalize it to varying environments. The current model is simply set up for some fabricated environment to allow one to interact with it to get a sense of the way that the relationships unfold over time. So this model is available for you to interact with, to go ahead and alter the parameters as you choose, and go ahead and simulate the model so that you get a better sense of of how the relationships unfold over time. And that's the real benefit of doing a simulation. While you can get a sense of the implication of the relationships from looking at a qualitative diagram, to really understand how those relationships unfold over time, it takes a simulation. If you look at this diagram and you ask questions about how much or how long, there's no way to answer those questions from a qualitative model. You need a quantitative model to do that with. All right, so this is the second part of the credit never happened perspective. Again, if you're not currently following this project, you can drop by systemswiki.org for directions on how to register to follow it. So I'll see you in another perspective shortly. Take care. Bye.